So why are we looking at Joker when you clicked on a video for Harley Quinn? Because this is a quick warning. What I'm about to review is a toy designed for adult collectors, so in the interest of my younger audience, this is my PG-13 warning. This toy is not for kids, so tune away now. Also, the Joker is awesome. What more do you need? And now, with all the kids gone, scantily clad nurses!
Yay!
And we can see why I sent the kids to bed early on this one. This is PlayArt's Kai Harley Quinn from the Arkham Asylum game, where the designs were grittier and, in the case of women, far more sexually charged. In the case of Harley, we've traded her traditional Harlequin jester design for a cross between a naughty nurse and a dominatrix. In the context of the game, it's a corruption of the asylum nurse's appearance, and it's the kind of twisted joke Harley and Joker would really get a laugh out of. In physical plastic, it's 8 inches of crazy detail combinations. We'll start with the head, where her face is painted chalk white apart from some pink on her cheeks. What I really like here are her eyes. They're very well painted and striking, with the black domino mask around them. There's even a hint of her eyelids around the edges. It's a really nicely detailed area. The hair is well sculpted. It does actually look like hair, though it's a bit too pale to match the game, and the part through the middle isn't prominent enough. But that's me trying to nitpick a nice sculpt. Gotta be fair, right? Moving to her torso, there's one major detail I don't think we can avoid mentioning. The name tag. Just like in the game, she wears the ID card of Warden Quincy Sharp. The Tampo Paint app is a bit crooked on mine, don't know how common an issue that is, but all the details are there. The torso is also the first area where we get to see the biggest issue I have with the toy, the paintwork. Along the nurse's uniform, there's some dark airbrushing to give it a dirtier look, and it really enhances the toy. But the fine details are where it loses it. The lacing around her bra is pretty sloppy, and the straps on her back are inconsistent too. There's also 2 very large details that really distract your eyes. The sleeves. They're a bit poofier here than they are in the games, and it makes her shoulders look too wide. If you look where the joint is, though, they're actually fine. It's a bit of an optical illusion. And yes, I'm avoiding discussing that other area. Let's just say I'm amazed she doesn't fall forward. Moving on, the corset and gloves are well done. We get our first look at the leather texture molded into the toy, and the elbow joints are very well color matched to hide them. This is important because I've seen some toys ruined by visible joints, and even in higher grade toys I've liked, this has been a problem, so I love when that effort is shown. Though I do have to point out, dirty as it makes me feel, her panties aren't visible. Oh, from the right angle they are there, and the correct color, but I am not showing those angles. But in the game, the top could be seen over her skirt. When they include the lacing of her bra, yes, I'm going to nitpick a far more noticeable detail missing. Then there's the skirt itself, airbrushed for a shade effect, no blood splatter though. Also, purple belt loops? Not accurate, painter. Not to mention the paint gun went nuts on the back, the belt's missing most of its metal loops. Again, paint flaws can vary, so this could just be mine, but I have to point them out as I see them. Which brings us to her fishnets. I will say there's a clever use of them here to hide the cut in her legs parts, but I'm starting to notice while large details are painted well, fine details seem to escape this toy. Here they really struggled to paint just the lines on the fishnets, and the only thing saving it is the gritty design. Your eye can chalk it up to the stockings wearing out. I am, however, starting to wonder if a paint robot can be drunk on the job. The boots fare much better though. Again, the leather texture is done well, and here the small details are few and painted correctly, right down to the platform soles. No wonder she doesn't tilt forward. And then there's the knee joints, molded to match the legs and with the stripes painted on. So when bent, it doesn't break up the look so badly, though I'm not sure if it succeeds or just makes the joints more noticeable. I spend a lot of time on detailing here because there's so many different textures going into it, and so many details done right, and quite a few done wrong. It really is a mixed bag. Articulation fares better though. The head has a nice ball joint on the top of the neck with a good range that avoids looking awkward, even in extreme poses. And even better, her pigtails are jointed. This helps make poses look more natural and adds life to action shots. Love details that are added like this. The shoulders are universal joints with a bit of a click to them, so they hold position really well. She gets the same in her elbows and wrists, as well as bicep swivels. A really unique joint, though, is a hinge inside the torso that lets the shoulder joints come forward, letting the arms have enough range to touch each other or reach around her chest. And obviously, Harley needs the help. It opens up a lot of posing possibilities I haven't seen other toys capable of. At the waist, she gets a limited ball joint that doesn't rotate well but tilts nicely in most directions, and I like how one of the corset straps hides the joint. Speaking of, while the skirt is soft plastic and tries to allow movement, it's still pretty hindered, which is a real letdown because the hips have some really good ball joints. They're reduced to just being a swivel for the legs and for a very few slight variations in her stances. Not like I expect crane kicks out of her, but some real range of motion would be nice. That continues to her lower legs, where her double-jointed knees have great range, but her ankles only tilt downward, not upward or to the sides. Again, thank those platform boots for holding her balance. What I'm left with is a great range of expressive motion above the waist, and not so much below, leaving me with a great representation of Harley, as long as I don't want her to do any action poses. Then there's the accessories, few but still diverse. She gets a spare right hand for holding onto her main prop in the game, Warden Sharp's cane. I like the design of this, makes me feel like we're going to grow a dinosaur out of the bug in the center. The detail here is nice, and we get a wood grain molding to the cane itself. It's a nice prop. She can even two-hand it thanks to those extra shoulder joints, and her left hand can hold it independently as well. But it pales in comparison to her main extra, Scarface. While I admit to preferring Harley's traditional design, Scarface I really like. The head looks like it was made from a log, which fits a puppet carved by a lunatic. I like the Joker's twists, too, like the J painted on the jacket, and the fact that he's been pantsed for no reason. The little guy has some limited articulation, that being ball joints in the neck and hips, so he can hang limp like a dummy would in any pose you could think of. If he had shoulder articulation, I'd call it a figure of its own. Oh, and if Harley's hand wasn't sticking out of the back. It's primarily a really well-crafted accessory to recreate a game scene, and does that job very well. As I wrap up, I'll tell you that Joker was my first PlayArts Kai, and when deciding to get another, I had to pick what character I'd like to see him with more, and for me, him and Harley on the same shelf just look right. If you've got one, you need the other. I will admit, the toy is a mixed bag. The small paint apps aren't that great, and the articulation in the legs is lacking, and the small accessory count might put some off. Since I never know what the make or break will be for you, I have to mention it all and judge it fairly. If the goal of the toy, however, is just to have a good representation of Arkham Asylum Harley Quinn on your shelf or desk, something to observe rather than pose, then I feel it succeeds. And let's be honest here. When you get a figure that looks like this, you get it to look at her. I just hope you do it out of amusement at her antics, not... yeah. Mind out of the gutter, people. She's not real.